Welcome to Watch, Review, Repeat. This is the podcast where two best friends discuss the latest in film and television and then do it all over again the following week. My name is Colton Brown, and joining me is Andrew Meadows, and also with us for the second half of our coverage of the Falcon and the Winter Soldier is none other than our resident Marvel expert, Henrique Jaime. So we're back. I'm not going to hold everyone up with a whole lot of intro stuff. Hopefully everyone has had a chance to listen to our non-spoiler coverage of the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and that will lead you pretty much directly into what we're doing on this episode, which is spoilers, and then a couple other things. So let's do it. Full spoilers for the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So as a preliminary matter, what do you guys want to do with this? I mean, we can go episode by episode because there are so few of them. We can talk plot lines, do a bit of both. I mean, how do you guys really want to tackle spoilers?
I say we just we break it down by character plot lines.
Okay.
I think that might be cool.
That sounds good to me.
All right, let's do it then. So
I feel like we should start with Sam Wilson if we're going to do characters.
So.
Yeah.
Anthony Mackie?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do it. Go for it, Andrew.
All right, I'll go for it. I'll take the dive. Anthony Mackie's character is super compelling. They meet up with that at a certain point.
Isaiah?
Bucky reveals that there was a previous super soldier who was black, who was super exploited.
Right.
At a certain point.
Yeah, it was basically placed in prison for decades, blood drawn so they could try to recreate the super soldier serum.
Yeah,
just a super heinous, fucked up thing. Yeah.
Right. And then, so Anthony Mackie, on top of grappling with, he gives away the shield at the beginning of the season, and then they just give it away to some dude. Right? And then he sees how that person's using it, and that doesn't feel right. And then he's called out consistently by Bucky about giving it away and what it means to be given the shield and what the shield represents. And the entire time Sam Wilson's having to grapple with what it is to be Captain America and what it is to be, essentially America as a black person, right? As a black man.
Right.
And he's not even his family's struggling to keep a boat up and running, and here he is representing what it is to be the best of America. And it's a super compelling story. Like, in and of itself, you can have that story by itself. You don't need a bad guy. You don't need to fight anybody. You don't need to do this or that. You just need the story of somebody taking on the reins of what it is to be the best of America as somebody that continues to get shit on by America.
Right.
And it was, it really, really resonated with me. And up until the end of the season, like when he takes that guy, I can't remember his name.
Isaiah Bradley?
Yes.
The previous super soldier?
Yeah. And he takes him to the memorial and shows that he's represented. That actually made me cry.
Yeah.
Like it was super, super touching. And that was the highest point of the whole season, is when he takes him to that thing. And shows him the statue and says that America will never forget you and this and that. And it was, they got the big hug, and it was just so good. It was super, super good. And that was the high point of the whole season for me. That was the best part. And I think that I really think that's the most compelling story of the whole, the most compelling arc of the whole season. And I think that's probably obviously what they set out to do.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of fluff there in between that I didn't necessarily need, or it didn't land right, like you have him trying to explain to Carly like what it is, what she's fighting for and this and that, and That sort of stuff just didn't land well with me. Like I just need the story of him and Isaiah, because that's the personal battle that he's going through. That's the big one, you know?
Sure.
So yeah.
Well, I would push back a little bit on his interactions with Carly, because I think my issues with Carly, which we can flesh out after we talk about Sam more specifically, are separate. I think the very important point that this show makes is, you know, Captain America requires a very, very specific and unique and exceptionally rare type of person. And John Walker is not that person. The show goes to great lengths to show you can be the most decorated soldier. That doesn't make you fucking Captain America. There, you know, I think even Zemo at one point says, you know, there's no one like Steve Rogers or something to that effect, where like even Zemo, who is very much anti-super soldiers, anti-Avengers, and, you know, fuck all this, you know, is very much just like, hey, Steve Rogers is fundamentally a good dude, and I respect that. And I think that what the point that they really tried to illustrate with Sam's interactions, and especially juxtaposed to new Captain America being a total jackass and ruining everything, is that Sam sees, you know, he sees things more from the top-down perspective. He tries to rationalize with people and understand where they're coming from in a way that, you know, Captain America doesn't just go around and just fucking kill people. I mean, he'll kill Nazis because Nazis are fucking Nazis. You're not going to reason with Nazis. It's fine. You know what I mean? But the Flag Smashers are not intended to be Nazis or Nazi equivalents or neo-Nazis or anything like that. They're kind of intended in some ways to be sympathetic. And I think that that's what Captain America, or I did it. We're in spoilers, so it's fine. That's what, you know, Sam, aka Falcon, at this point, you know, is recognizing is, you know, hey, there's good in these people. I can reach out to them. I can, you know, I can have that heart to heart thing because that's the type of person I can be. And I think it was really, maybe it didn't land. Again, you know, we talked about things not totally landing, but I really think that was to highlight Sam as a person and show why he is the most qualified person to become Captain America, because he's the only one that really has that moral compass, you know, that you need to be a good Captain America. And I felt like that's what those scenes were trying to illustrate.
Sure.
And again, maybe they weren't successful at it or hitting the mark on exactly what they were trying to do. But I think they worked
spots
for me.
where you could see the intention, like when he tried to talk to Carly at the funeral. You know what I mean? There were certain spots that you could tell it, and maybe it's just because Carly's character didn't come through as well as she should. I don't know. Like I said, I'm struggling to find the point where I'm struggling to find where to point the blame. But I understand what you're saying. That they were meant to be sympathetic. They were meant to glorify Sam's personality and his strengths as an empathetic character, right? As an empathetic person. I can see where you're coming from, and maybe the best answer isn't just a fucking fist. Maybe we can talk this through, and maybe we can figure out a way through it.
Right.
But yeah, Sam's character, Sam's character, Anthony. God damn it, too many sour monkeys or whatever.
They're heavy. They're almost 10%. So that's nothing to sneeze at.
Yeah. His arc was by far my favorite, and I don't mean to take up any more for Henry. What do you got to say about it?
No,
sorry about it.
No. I feel like he's the heart of the show for me. And honestly, I have no issues or complaints with really any part of his storyline. The Isaiah Bradley stuff was really well done. Like, just anytime those two are on screen together, I'm just glued to the screen. Like, I want to hear everything they have to say. It's such an intimate thing that, like, you don't always expect from a superhero show or movie, that it's just so real. Because, like, you can go back and, like, I think the thing that Marvel, even going back to the comics, has done really well is they do, like, ground a lot of stuff within real world. And like there's like this, so this is inspired on the Truth comic book series. But like there's inspiration in the real life stuff. Like America did experiment on black people. Like, that's a fact. And you go back and you look at that and you put that in the Marvel universe, and it seems like insane. Like when Isaiah's talking about how he he was given shots without his knowledge, and then a bunch of he turned out okay, but everyone else didn't. And then I think that what was really tough was when he's talking about how he went back to save his fellow soldiers, and he got thrown in jail for it, and Steve did the exact same thing, and he became Captain America. Like that hit me pretty hard.
Yeah, it sucks.
You know,
the part that hit me really hard is the fact that his girlfriend or his wife or whoever she was
died without ever knowing. Like, you know,
yeah.
And
they held his letters, and they
right.
they weren't allowed to communicate. It's super fucked up. And then he shows his scars. And man, I mean that guy got run through the ringer.
Mm-hmm.
It was
yeah.
Super heart-wrenching.
Right. So
yeah, hats off to Carl Lumbly for bringing Isaiah Bradley to life. You know, I think that I mean that whole arc was just it was admittedly a little tough to watch because it didn't feel like fiction, you know, in a certain sort of way. Like, okay, he's a super soldier, but it was just like, I you bought all of it, and it hit because of that. So that I 100% agree. I haven't really talked a whole lot about it, but that
really well done
aspect of the story
really
was exceptionally well done. I agree.
But no, kind of what you were saying to Colton, like if this show was aimed at selling Falcon becomes Captain America, I think it did it well because I totally buy it. Is he the best fighter in the show? No. He's like by far not the best fighter in the show, but
it doesn't have the super
right.
soldier serum, and he at one point says he wouldn't even take it if he was given the opportunity.
And I love that because I think if they could have gone the other way and they could have given him superpowers. They could have, you know, thrown him in the Avengers as a superpowered soldier or whatever. But I love that they kept him who he was and he stayed true to who he was.
And they have the whole training sequence.
Yeah, and you see, like he's capable. He's not just a nobody.
He's got some skills,
right?
Yeah,
you know?
but I think more importantly, like where
he put in the work.
He's putting in the work.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And that was the through line throughout the show, was putting in the work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You want to do this or that, put in the fucking work and do it.
Yeah. But also he was like the right one to be Captain America right now. I felt like Steve Rogers is gone. We can't have him. Who are the other options? Bucky? Well, he's like an ex-mass murderer dealing with his own demons, so probably not the best. John Walker, he might be like the best.
Definitely not.
He might be the best soldier since Captain America.
Definitely not the best,
but not a good choice. And then you have the guy who gave up the shield, but oftentimes I feel like Cap didn't want to be a soldier. Like in a way, like he obviously went before he had powers. He went to try to get enlisted, but he was never there to fight. He was there to like stand up against bullies. And Sam's not the exact same person, but like you get a sense where he's coming from. And like he's not Captain America because he's the best fighter. He's there because he embodies what it is to be Captain America. And that's what I liked about his character in the show.
Yeah, it's the best part.
Yeah.
So you want to kill some Nazis?
No.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's totally echoing. It's totally echoing what makes the first Captain America, and obviously seeing his character develop subsequently so resonant is, you know, those interactions between Steve and Erskine and the first Avenger are just really powerful because you get a great sense of who Steve Rogers is as a person, and I think that's what the 6 episodes here did a really great job of is seeing Sam Wilson as a person, building on what we've already seen previously, and fleshing that out, and fleshing out his complicated relationship with the fact that like Steve Rogers handpicked him as a successor, and apparently talked to Bucky about it at some point. Bucky's just like, nah, man.
He's like I just want to go on some Tinder dates, man.
It's always
like,
been
let
Sam.
me do some Tinder dates and and do my notebook.
But you know, I think I appreciated what they did here because. Not to jump ahead too much, but you know, Sam does become Captain America. You know, the title card changes in the last episode at the tail end to Captain America and the Winter Soldier, which is cool. You know, we have a new Captain America, but I think it's nice that instead of just having, you know, Endgame end with, hey, you're the new Captain America, here's the shield, and like that's that, and then you pick up, and then there's another movie that comes out, and it's just Sam Wilson, he's just Captain America, and it is what it is, and we are going to get that. I'll hit on that in a second, basically. But you have 6 episodes to really probe the mind of Sam Wilson. You have him giving up the shield because he thinks it's the right thing to do, and you have these conversations. Bucky is throughout the whole thing hounding him like, "Why'd you give up the shield? Like, fuck you, dude. Why did you do it?" War Machine's in this show. Remember, fucking War Machine's in this show in episode 1. You got Rhodey coming in and kind of having a conversation, being like, I get it, but like, okay, so. I just think having 6 episodes to really explore the mindset was just such I think that was a really brilliant creative decision to pull it in that direction, and then to see it kind of come full circle, with the struggles in his life, his personal life, with the sister, with the boat, the scene in the bank, and just obvious racism that you see throughout. And there's a scene where they get stopped by police when they're just outside of Bradley's house, and it's just like, fucking hell, dude. Even an Avenger doesn't get it. He still deals with this shit constantly. And as a side note, why is Tony Stark not bankrolling the Avengers?
There's a lot of
what an asshole.
Man,
is what I'd say
my man
about that.
My man Tony's. I don't know.
You couldn't give them a little stipend for like protecting the world and shit.
Right.
Like, all right, fuck off, dude. It's a little skeevy, is what I'd say. Hoarding his money a little too much.
Yeah.
We talk about Bucky. Bucky's arc is I don't think it's. I mean, it's very compelling. Especially the my favorite part of Bucky's storyline is almost when he almost in the beginning. When he's going through all the counseling and stuff.
Yeah.
And then they have that sequence where him and Sam Wilson have to sit in the same room.
Yeah.
And it's super awkward. I definitely enjoyed that. But you see him, I think the best part of the entire season for him is when he's talking to Sam and they've bonded over rebuilding the boat. And I mean, he doesn't have a whole lot of people to go to. He goes to Sam, hey, do you need help with this thing? And they bond over it. And they get to the point where he can give him honest advice. Hey, do you want honest advice? Do the work. Do it.
Right.
And I really enjoyed that part. I think that was super touching.
I think the dynamic and the camaraderie between Sam and Bucky, initially for me it kind of felt a little forced, where it's just like, oh, there was that one scene in Civil War where he's like, can you move your seat up, and no, and I hate you. Like, there was a little like kind of jokey things that happened between the two, and they tried to replicate that a couple times. But I felt that as the show went on, it felt more natural and believable and earned, and to the point where, some of the, there was resentment coming from the fact that it was just like, you had this golden opportunity and you let it slip out of your hands. And like, obviously, Bucky acknowledges at a certain point, he's like, I didn't really think about certain aspects of what it would mean to become Captain America. Like, I'm a white guy. I didn't really think about it too, in a too difficult fashion. It was just very much just being like, you could be Captain America and you want to give it up, and now this fucking asshole's running around with the shield, dressing up like and looking like an asshole. Like, it was, I think, a natural and honest and understandable resentment without really understanding the depth and complexities involved. But yeah, I do think that by the end, Bucky recognizing that. And encouraging him to say, you've earned this. Like, this is you. This is what this is who you're meant to be. This is what you're meant to do. It really worked.
I think that the whole perspective that Bucky had with, Steve Rogers saw in you the qualities required to hold that shield, and you reject it and you put it away, or you give it away. You know what I mean? And him feeling down on himself because, I really the whole line with if he was wrong about you, then he could have been wrong about me.
Yeah,
that really that hit me pretty good. You know what I mean? I don't know why I don't know why I felt it as hard as I did, but I did. I felt it, and it felt very believable, and it felt like a very believable position to have.
Yeah. I think it's because like Bucky only, after the first movie, he's many years older. He only has Steve, and Steve's the only.
He only has Steve.
Steve's really the only one that's ever believed in him, and now he's gone. So like, what does he have left? And he has so many doubts about himself because he remembers, he makes that line like, I remember everyone. He remembers.
He's got demons is what he has.
He remembers all the stuff. And he's trying to make amends, but it's not enough he's got some serious PTSD. But Steve's the only one that believed in him. And if you only have one person believe in you, and if you start questioning if they were wrong, then that shakes like your whole
foundation,
your whole being. Yeah. So I agree. I love that line, and it really like showed a lot of Bucky's like inner thoughts, and I love the parts of him in Wakanda too. That we get.
Yeah. We got a whole intro sequence, right, where it's like him working through the brainwashing and kind of getting it scrubbed from his brain.
Right.
Oh man,
that was rough.
Sebastian Stan was particularly brilliant in that particular scene.
That was rough because like those words like ruled over him for so long, and to be freed, like what does that mean for him? But and we'll talk about Zemo later, I'm sure. But like, I love having Zemo come in and he immediately just starts speaking the words to him, like knowing that it's gone, but like almost just like fucking with him. He's just like,
even just like, let me give it the old college try.
It's like I know there's a little something still in there, but like, damn, I love Bucky too. I think he had a lot already coming in, even more than Sam.
I think so.
He'd been in so many movies, like. And I think it was amazing when they brought him in for Winter Soldier. I already thought it was amazing. Like, you have no guarantee that you're gonna be able to make a sequel and you're gonna be able to do the Winter Soldier storyline. So like, Bucky could have easily been not a throwaway character, but like a one and done.
He's
one and done kind of
best
thing.
friend that died,
Steve's
and
best
was
friend
sad
that
and stuff,
he saved him and he died, and he was more compass. Boom, never comes back again. This dude's been in like several other movies, and now is on his own TV show. Like, that was great. Like, obviously it kind of had to work out to get to this, but
he's been shooting at aliens with fucking Rocket Raccoon, he's been through some shit.
He's been in Wakanda, he's been fighting aliens, like he's been blipped. Like, man, what a journey. And it's not over, but like he got a lot of He went through a lot
in this show.
He went through a lot, and
I think this show pushed him forward in a very meaningful way overall.
Yeah. A lot of growth. He goes from standoffish and this and that, and then he trusts in Sam, and then a lot of the things that Sam represents, he ends up representing by the end by talking to Carly and this and that. You know what I mean? I think it shows a lot of growth in his character, and I really enjoyed his arc.
Yeah.
I enjoyed, and if I'm pushing forward too
go for
fast, you guys just stop me. But I actually really enjoyed Wyatt's character, U.S.
John
agent.
Walker.
Okay.
Yeah,
Walker.
Well, all right.
I fucking love Walker, but go ahead.
I do want to press pause for a brief second and just kind of close the loop for myself, just personally speaking, because I feel like, John Walker is a bit of an antagonistic presence in this, and then you've got the Flag Smashers and the Power Broker, and I think we'll kind of hit on those things. But I do want to just talk a couple things about the more positive aspects of the show before we get into the more villainous, antagonistic aspects of the show. So just Bucky and everything. I think it was really well done. I think next to Sam, just some really, really compelling and powerful writing. The stuff, even the flashback sequence that we saw early on with Bucky was really, really like, oh shit.
Oh yeah.
And they brought back, what I appreciate is they brought back Henry Jackman, the composer of Winter Soldier and Civil War for this. And we got some of those musical cues, and it just felt very, like, tense and oh shit when like Bucky was Winter Soldiering about. I thought that was just really, really good. I think the stuff with his characterization was just really great. The stuff with him and the guy who he had killed his son. That was kind of the bookend of his character. I thought that was just really, really, really powerful how they kind of handled that. And it's a really awful situation for him to be involved in, but for him to have literally the same notebook that Steve had when he was trying to figure out what's modern society all about, I thought was just kind of a really nice touch, a very good wrinkle with Bucky, particularly. Other stuff. I guess I'll save some other stuff for later. I don't want to hog the microphone too much. There are a couple things I think that I want to close the loop with regarding Sam and his transition to Captain America, but we can come back to that because I think Andrew has some things to say about John Walker. So
Mr. Walker and
Henrique too. It sounded like so. So what do you guys have about new Captain America and then later U.S. Agent?
So, John Walker's character, he steps into some large fucking shoes to fill.
Yeah.
Starts out as a good soldier, probably a good dude. You know what I mean? I don't think... I think all the characters in the show are sympathetic.
Yeah.
Depending on your point of view, And I think that his character is really interesting because he tries to where Sam tries to give away the shield because he doesn't feel worthy. I think that Wyatt's character takes the shield and just forces his way through it and doesn't feel worthy for it, but he feels like the super soldier serum can help him along. I think...
Yeah, maybe a questionable decision, but certainly...
Questionable decision.
Mm-hmm. Understandable, I guess,
The biggest holy shit moment in this whole show
go for it.
Is after he fucking destroys that dude with the shield. Holy shit. Big holy shit moment.
Talk about holy shit.
Would he cleave that whole man's chest in? That would be quite a painful death. I don't know.
Death by a fucking spoon, quite literally.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a giant spoon.
But just the imagery of that scene was just when you were talking about cliffhangers, that was a fucking cliffhanger. You had Captain America murder a dude in broad daylight in front of all the cameras, and then you just you just leave him you leave the shot of seeing all the blood on the shield Wow, that was the high point in the season for me. It's
totally agree.
Just because they went there,
totally agree.
They went there, and that's why. That's why I love John Walker, because you see him in the beginning and you hate him. You're like, you're not Captain America. Who the fuck are you? I don't care how many medals of honors you have. And like Andrew, you were saying, he pushes through it. He's always defending himself. He's like, I am Captain America. I did the work. I did this, blah, blah, blah. But he still questions himself. And I did like that in his character. You see a little bit. He's not.
You see the conflict.
Yeah. You see him trying to be. He's like, this is the first good thing I'm doing. He really wants to be a good Captain America. But I think a little bit of the wanting too much gets in the way.
And it's what spurs him to make that decision to get the serum.
Exactly.
And I think that's ultimately, hey, he doesn't have, he can wreck you, you know what I mean? Because he's got that, but I think it hinders him, I think, in the long run.
I could have used just a whole season of him being the bad guy.
I think so. I think,
I think I only needed one bad guy.
He's so compelling too. And he's,
I think the problem is he's not a bad guy for 90% of the show,
right? And it makes him more compelling because of it.
And maybe I should qualify that statement. I don't think there's a point in this season where I liked John Walker, but I thought that what they did with him, I think they did a good job of making him a fleshed out character. I thought he was a douche for most of the show, and I thought he was an asshole. And then, it's like, good. Oh yeah, you probably shouldn't murder people in broad daylight. But I think that I would agree in the sense that even though he wasn't a cackling, maniacal villain for most of the show, he was an antagonistic presence where anytime he popped up and Bucky and Sam were just like, oh, fuck off. You know what I mean? Like, they were just like, we don't have time for you. You're not Captain America. We knew Captain America. You're a fucking poser. Get the fuck out of my face. Pull that suit off. Give me that shield back. You're a bitch. It was really just like, that was the whole through line, and I liked that. Yeah. And I think that could have worked. And I think that at a certain point, you know, if you were going to just make him kind of the singular focus as a villain, you would have had him. I think you needed to have him have more of a villainous turn overall, where because and I think that's one of my kind of shortcomings. I think with John Walker, maybe my real only one is that, like, I didn't really think he got a lot of comeuppance for like what he did, and like, you know, like Captain America killed Nazis, and Falcon was definitely killing people in that first episode, but like, he wasn't killing people in the way that John Walker did, you know, and you know, that
he
brutal,
lost his title.
I'm gonna cleave this man in half with the Captain America shield. Like, it's just fundamentally different. Murder is murder, yes, but it's fundamentally different, you know, in its own sort of way. And I kind of felt like after that point, it was just kind of like the government was just like, look, you know, like, you know, you've done a lot for this country, and like, you know, it is what it is. We'll give you a less than honorable discharge. And like, that's obviously a pretty hefty punishment. I'm not discounting that. But then they turned around and was just like, sequel bait.
He's okay.
You know, we're like, let's set up how, you know, we're going to bring John Walker back. And I felt like there still could have been another extra episode or two in there where he's really just lost it. Like, the serum has done something to his brain. And even if you do pull him back, you know, from the edge at a certain point, like, you know, you have Sam Wilson coming in and saying like, this isn't you, man. This isn't you. You know, the serum is messing with your head. Like, I think you could have done that and made him like the real threat at the end. But, you know, obviously they had Carly, they had the Flag Smashers that kind of filled that role, but I think that they could have made a better, more tighter season, to Andrew's point, I think, by making him kind of the central villain, even if it wasn't, you know, you wouldn't have had a quote-unquote villain from day one, you know, from episode 1, but it would have built to that. It would have been WandaVision-esque. It would have been Agnes. It would have been Agatha. You know what I mean? It was like, that show didn't have a villain for most of its run, but once it kind of revealed who the villain was, like, it worked. Yeah, I think they could have done something similar here, and I think it would have been better for it.
And sometimes creating a villain, it makes them more interesting too. But like, and his kill too is just like, it's just so different and shocking, because the guy was not the one who killed Lamar. You know, that was kind of his turn. Like, he lost his best friend, his like moral compass. And he just like, obviously,
we gotta say that death was brutal.
Right?
Oh man, just like, going against that column, like, just instantly, basically dead at that point.
So you can sympathize with him. Like, he just saw his best friend get murdered. He wants to avenge him, if anything, but then he goes after the wrong person. The person's like, you know, pleading with them, like, you know, I didn't do anything, blah blah blah. He still murders them. Like, at that point, like, you know that you have to stop your vengeance from getting the better of you, and he just goes all out. And that's when you see that
he can't hold himself back.
That full villainous turn. And I wish that they did keep going with it a little bit more, especially in the last episode. He kind of just turns back, and you're like, I guess he's a good guy, and like Bucky and Sam are okay with him. So yeah, the ending.
It felt like they swept it under the rug a little too
fast.
quickly.
It was too fast. But most of his character, I thought, was really well done.
What I will say is maybe my favorite John Walker related scene, and it's touching on something that we really haven't talked about. John Walker got his fucking ass handed to him by the Dora Milaje.
Oh yeah.
And I love that they brought back the Dora for this show. The Wakandan presence was much appreciated. AO was awesome, and the way that they fucking clowned John Walker was just like, come on, like
and like he knew.
That's what spurred him. It was just like, shit, I just got my ass kicked. Like, fuck, what am I doing here? And they weren't super
soldiers. They were you know, mostly normal humans.
Yeah, that was good shit. I really appreciated that.
They were badasses throughout the entire show.
That fight scene was incredible too.
That was cool.
Easily
one
of the best.
Cool.
Yeah.
So I mean, you know, Walker ends with, "Hey, here's Julia Louis-Dreyfus coming in for a big old cameo in those last couple episodes, or was it just the last one? I don't even know." they set him up as U.S. agent. They got him was it a fake? He made the fake shield at one point.
Yeah.
I guess he didn't have
shield.
it. I don't think at the end, but
shitty shield.
He did get a spray paint job done of the suit, so it's black, white, and red now, and it's comic accurate. And
I thought that suit was
moniker.
pretty. I thought that suit was pretty ballin'.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the U.S. agent stuff looked cool. Obviously, it's a bit of a setup for let's bring this character back in some fashion, and he's a government presence, or I don't know, or is he? I mean, so I don't know what the hell's going on with the Contessa Valentina Allegra de Fontaine. I don't know what that, to me, I'm not sure what direction all that's kind of spinning towards. That to me, it just kind of felt a bit out of left field. So I didn't know that I loved it. It really did feel like a little bit more setup type things for me. But I don't know. How are you guys feeling about all that angle they had with it?
I agree with you. It felt out of left field, and it's definitely set up for something else, and I don't know what.
I guess it felt too redemptive immediately. It was just like, I don't know. Like, I guess if she's up to some shady bullshit, then it's fine. But we don't know enough about her and what her deal is to really get a sense of, like, is he doing some shady shit for the government, which would be fine. I think that would make sense, So I don't know.
Yeah,
we'll see obviously where they go with that character. But
I guess we just don't know what direction he's going in. I liked him more as the more antagonistic presence, but I'm glad they didn't kill him. If that was ever on the table, I want to see.
I agree with that.
I want to see more of him, especially if they're going to keep him at the very least like an anti-hero.
Yeah, I think you can't go beyond that. It just feels more appropriate for what they set up. So, yeah, I guess we'll see, but kind of what they do with that. But I think there's really two big points to hit on. I think we got the Flag Smashers, who we've kind of not really talked about in depth, and then there's the Power Broker situation. So where do you guys want to go next?
Yeah, I was gonna say Zemo briefly.
Oh, Zemo. Well, let's do it. Let's do Zemo.
All right.
Zemo is fucking awesome.
Fucking love Zemo. Brilliant. God damn it.
Marvel put out the hour-long thing of Zemo dancing and Sharon's.
Marvel actually put that out. That was a Marvel thing.
No, it's official.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was an official thing. And there's been lots of edits with different music choices atop it, and that's been awesome. So, they gave him a little bit of more comic book accurate, like he's suddenly like a rich baron. I'm like, all right, fuck it, man, whatever. I'm fine with it. Daniel Bruhl crushed it. I thought he was really great. I mean, just a very, very fun and appreciated presence overall for this show. I'm glad that, I wish that the show ended with a more explicit kind of direction for where they were going to put the character. They kind of just put him back into status quo.
Like
I want Thunderbolts. Yeah. I totally want Thunderbolts with Zemo leading the charge and reformed villains. Get some previous villains that we've seen in the MCU to tag along. Have asshole William Hurt, General Thunderbolt Ross come in the Red Hulk. Like, I want all of that, in the future. And it didn't quite. It didn't rule that possibility out, but it didn't really like set it up explicitly. So I don't know. But Zemo was awesome. He was very, very entertaining and just really, really good throughout, I thought.
Yeah, he just like ate up anything that he had like on the screen. Like fucking Daniel Bruhl's awesome. He was great in Civil War, but you just get like a whole different side of him here. And I think Zemo's probably, at least from the comics, like my favorite Captain America villain. Like, just something about like his ridiculousness, fucking purple sock on his head. Like it's just, I love it. Like, and the fact that they brought him in, I wish they would have explained it a little bit. Like he's like, oh, this is what I used to wear undercover, whatever. Stupid excuse.
Like, I just want to put
I put it on. I'm like, you know what? Whatever, man. It looked good, for live action. I love me some Zemo. He's just so manipulative. He has no superpowers in this. He just like, obviously a very trained soldier, but he has connections. He has money. He has resources. He knows how to manipulate people. Is probably his biggest superpower. Like he manipulated Bucky. He essentially manipulates those little kids and
gives them
little
some candies.
Turkish delights.
Turkish delights.
But man, he was great in this, and I hope we get some more Zemo, and I'm sure we will. There's no way that we don't get more Zemo. I have no clue where or when, but he for sure is coming back. I mean, they set it up in the end. He kills the last of the Flag Smashers. He's like, taking out the rest of my super soldiers. But John Walker's
work with fucking Doctor Doom. How good would that be?
Oh, that'd be pretty cool.
Fucking Doctor Doom. I want a proper Doctor Doom.
I'll take a Doctor Doom.
It's got to be coming. Bring it to us, John Watts. We want it.
John Watts is Doctor Doom?
Well, he's directing the Fantastic Four movies, so.
No, bring...
Presumably we'll get some Latveria teasing, if nothing else.
Maz is Doctor Doom, you think?
Well, he was already in Doctor Strange.
We'll double cast him. Fuck it, man.
Yeah.
Who cares? No one's going to remember Doctor Strange 1. It'll be fine. Just bring him in. Also, he'll be wearing... He would be wearing a mask most of the time anyway, so...
Yeah, I mean, you could go with the internet and do Despacito or...
Despacito?
Giancarlo.
Giancarlo.
Yeah. not Despacito. Yeah.
Giancarlo Esposito.
Esposito. Okay. Despacito, you fucking guys.
it's just Moff Gideon from The Mandalorian.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Breaking Bad.
And Breaking Bad.
Los
Pollos Hermanos. Yeah.
Always the villain. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. Getting back on track. Andrew, any thoughts on Zemo, or do you want to talk Power
Zemo
Broker,
was
Flag
great.
Smashers?
I really enjoyed Zemo.
Rate his dance moves, and on the spot right now, answer to all the listeners. Will you do the Zemo dance moves at your wedding?
I will do the Zemo dance moves.
You heard it here.
The wedding.
You heard it here first.
I will do that, folled by the Ex
Machina. Oh,
yes.
Fuck yeah!
Oh yeah.
No,
Okay,
I have some close friends who I didn't go to their wedding, but they did the whole. They straight up did the dance Ex Machina at their weddings.
Beautiful. It's a beautiful thing.
So you're on the spot now. You're doing both of them.
I'm doing both of them.
Yeah.
I think I just enjoyed his level-headedness throughout the season. He just seemed like I don't know. I like you say. I just really enjoyed his performance. I think it was really good, and I enjoy his character a lot. He's obviously he seems like one of those villains that has rules. If that's the best way to put that.
Yeah.
His code is he doesn't want fucking super soldiers running around. So when he
if
sees
I have
super
to work
soldiers,
with you, I don't care who I have to work with. I just find it morally reprehensible that they're super soldiers and we're going to eliminate them. I don't give a shit. I don't care who I work with.
Right. I mean, and obviously to a certain extent, like he kind of lets Bucky go on because he just kind of recognizes like, he was an unwilling kind of super soldier, and he's kind of, renounced the Winter Soldiery ways that he's had. But like he sees Carly, and it's just like, I'm just gonna fucking shoot her, And he sees the guy that's making more serum. He's like, fuck this guy, I'm shooting him
too. I don't give a shit.
He sees the vials, and it's just like, no, this should not be allowed to exist. Smash, you know what I mean? Like
right.
He's very consistent, pretty much in that regard.
And it's cool. That's real cool. It's real simple. It's real cool, and I think he's from a villainous point of view, I think from a villainous standpoint, I think he's charismatic. He's like Tony Stark. He's charismatic. He's driven. He's smart, and he's got resources, like you say. He has no superpowers other than his wits, and I think he utilizes everything to the fullest extent. And I think his performance is spectacular. I think it's really good.
Right. He's got understandable motivations too. Most villains are just like, I'm evil because I want bad things to happen. Whereas Zemo's just like, I was witness to the Avengers ruining my country.
And
I don't
family.
want that to happen again. This power should not be given to people. Like, I will take that power away. Like, I'm not saying, again, murder is murder. Hey, whatever, man. But like, I do think you can see the code, at least has some sort of code, that sets him apart from a lot of the other villains that you see. And
I mean, he lost everything.
The villains you see in the show.
Yeah.
And he has that badass butler working for him too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But
very loyal.
So I guess the last characters or last villainous force is what? The Flag Smashers?
The main one probably.
Yeah, they're the main villains of the show without a doubt. And maybe the weakest point of the show. Probably the weakest point of the show. I think we can probably collectively agree to that statement. It sucks because I feel like I appreciated what they were trying to do, but it didn't work. There's this whole idea of the blip happening, 5 years of half the globe just disappearing from existence, and obviously countries being at a point where like, oh god, yes, losing billions of people in a second is going to radically change how the world looks. And so the world comes together in this way, united around this massive crisis. It's a very Watchmen-esque type scenario of this huge thing uniting opposing forces. And so that kind of happens, and then they come back. Everyone comes back, and it's like, okay, all right, things are kind of shifting back to normal, or at least the way they were before as much as possible. And I feel like the Flag Smashers kind of whole point is like, hey, wasn't this whole like world unity thing like good? Wasn't it nice that we had like allies, and the borders between countries was broken down because people, one world, one people.
Hashtag I think Thanos did nothing wrong.
Kind of. I mean, yes and no. I mean, they probably didn't agree with the mass extinction of billions, but they thought, like, hey, we made the best out of a bad circumstance, and that best is something that we could still maintain even with the bad thing happened undone. I feel like was kind of their central motivation. And I kind of agreed in the sense that, like, hey, if you really believe that this way that the world came together was really productive and successful, and you want to keep that going, even with some sense of normalcy restored, like, I think that's a thing that's worth fighting for, and it makes sense. And I feel like even Sam was just kind of like, look, I get it. I get what you're fighting for. It makes sense to me. And, like, I didn't think that the show writers, the showrunner, writers, whatever, really knew what to do with them, because it's just like, oh, and also we're just going to bomb a bunch of people too. And I think that's where I kind of lost the plot with the Flag Smashers. It was just like, oh shit, these guys are almost a little too like relatable in terms of their motivations. So we're going to make them super soldiers so they can just fucking kill people whenever they want. And I don't know. To me, it felt disingenuous with like what their perspective and their objective was, and it felt incongruous how they tried to have their storyline with the actual in line with how who the actual characters were that were the Flag Smashers. You have Carly, who, I don't know, it just didn't work.
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying.
I get what they wanted to do, and I get the point they were trying to make, but it was like they didn't know how to make that point sympathetic without making it too sympathetic, so they just made these characters into a bunch of fuckheads that didn't. They made them into terrorists, and it's like they wanted to make them terrorists, but they also didn't want to make them terrorists for some reason. And it's like, I think either pick one direction and stick with it. And it felt like they tried to have a little bit too much of both, to the point where, like, I almost, there were times where I think the show was just like, I don't know. Like, I didn't really get what they were even trying to fucking do. Like, what are they trying to do? Like, there was like 10 of them, so it really wasn't that big of an organization from what we could tell. And it was like, okay, I guess they're sympathetic, but then they're like bombing people. But like, what's that supposed to accomplish? Like, why is she
just bombing?
Why is she like?
I mean, it was a lot
people?
of like Carly. So I think the shortness and the length of the series like really took a hit here, because I don't think it's easy to do, but I think you could do like a full, at least half, but maybe even a full episode just on the Flag Smashers. And even though the way that the series is now, they were the least interesting part, if you can do it well and you do like a full episode where you can really sympathize, really understand, and spend more time with them, and maybe even like have people fight back against Carly, because like it seemed like not everyone was fully on board with what she did.
Yeah, they were like,
he's like,
you're bombing and killing
I'm gonna
people,
murder people. Like, we'll work with criminals. We work with Batroc. Blah blah blah. And people were like, like people questioned her, but never really fought back.
They didn't push back at all, right?
Right.
Yeah, it was bizarre.
So I thought that could have been a good angle to take, but also just like really focus on like what they lost, and then make that a little more personal. So maybe this is where, if you had made it longer, it could have been a lot stronger.
I think if nothing else, what could have benefited it is, in the way that in WandaVision, when we had that episode 4 where we saw Monica come back from the blip and she's in the hospital and she's trying to find her mom and it's just chaos and she's like, your mom's been dead for 2 years or whatever, and it's like a really, really like chaotic and like crazy situation. I kind of feel like
something like that would have gone a long way in this season.
The show needed a moment like that. Yeah, just something that something set within the blip to get an idea of like what it was like for the world to exist as it did at that point, to get a sense of like why that was so good, and then why now when things come back, and even just like a news montage would have kind of captured it in a way of just being like, these two countries being like, we're buddy, and then like, oh shit, our whole population came back, and like, we're going to reinstitute the borders, and we don't want, even, if it was like racial animus or religious animus or something like that, where it's just like, Thanos just snapped out half the world, so we're really not too concerned about your religious viewpoint, but like, things are back to normal. You're fucking wrong. We're fucking right. So, we're not going to deal with your point of view because we don't respect it. I just kind of felt like there needed to be some sort of thing that made it feel like, oh, we were so close to achieving some sort of peace in this world, and now we're right back where we started, where everyone fucking hates each other, and, the walls are back up, and it's just like, we needed something to see that in action to really get a feel for that. But maybe they didn't want that because, like I said, maybe that would have made them too sympathetic, but even then, I think just... they struggled. I think you could still make them villainous and have them do terroristic type things without just being like, yeah, we want these, because like they were stealing resources, and it was like, yeah, stealing resources and redistributing them seems like a pretty like Robin Hood-y type thing. That's people sympathize with Robin Hood. And it felt like, oh yeah, but then we're going to kill everyone that was hoarding those supplies because those guys are assholes. I'm like, are they? Like, I don't know that. Like they just seem like innocent people that, were stuck, dealing with the bureaucracy that kind of failed everyone. And there was no real nuance that really made any sense. So it was just frustrating, like being like one world, one people. And I'm like, yeah, I think I get it.
The other
like,
people.
But also, like, I don't really get it. Like, I don't really get what you're doing, and I know your motivations to me are just not super clear. Why you're doing what you're doing.
Yeah, and they had to make Carly
like what your goals
a little too. Yeah, I thought they made Carly into too much of an asshole. Like, she was just like, well, I don't care about Hodgkins. Like, his life doesn't matter, and like, I'm not gonna kill you, Sam, because you don't really matter. I was like, damn, that's rude. Like, they're just. I don't know. Like, I get where she was coming from. It's like, this is not part of my big plan, but
yeah, I don't know.
I feel like they struggled with Carly's character in particular. Figure her out.
Yeah, and like I liked Erin Kellyman. She was
nothing
good,
on her,
but it just yeah, there either wasn't enough there, or what was there just wasn't. I don't even know how to phrase it. Just
it wasn't.
Didn't work.
I didn't get it. Like it didn't make sense really. Like what we were told and what we got, like just it didn't really line up with like a lot of what we were getting, what we were seeing. Yeah. So I don't know.
Right.
So what's the deal with the power broker?
What is the deal with the power broker?
Is Peggy the power broker?
It's Mephisto. No, it's Mephisto.
It's Mephisto. That's true. Yeah, this to me is another disappointment. I think with a shortcoming of the show, if nothing else.
Sharon Carter.
Sharon Carter's back. And, hey, yeah. Sharon's cool. She,
I like her.
She was totally smooching it up with Steve and
she's real like John Wick in the one episode.
That was very cool. It was very cool that you know she was going to town, just fucking kicking everyone's ass outside the container. Not really sure why she was doing that because. I don't know.
She also wanted the super soldiers out. Yeah,
the revelations that came to be in this show didn't make sense to me. So what I'll say, my 2 cents, is the Madripoor setup was very cool. It's an X-Men. Yeah. I think it's a city that originated in X-Men comics. So it's it's one of those Fox editions kind of coming up in the MCU now, which is very cool. I think the visual stuff, as I talked about in non-spoilers, was just really, really neat.
Yeah.
I thought it looked cool. It was awesome. Like getting this fictional city and stuff, it was all very cool, very stylish. I liked that. And then you have Sharon, who's off in this other part of the world, thinking like, man, my life fucking sucks. I helped you guys out, and what did I got branded a terrorist or whatever, and I had to leave the country, and I made a new life over here. And I was like, all right, I get it. I respect that. That's all very cool. You kind of made a name for yourself, and you're doing your own thing over here, but you're still a good guy. Oh no, you're just the power broker. You're the one who is facilitating the super soldier serum and having this guy make it, and and you're harassing Carly for stealing it, and like, I'm gonna murder the fuck out of you, if I see you again.
No, she murdered a lot of people.
She killed Patrak at the end, which was disappointing.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I didn't buy it. I just didn't buy it. I think ultimately, I didn't buy that character turning from the little snippets that we had previously seen to this. This is absolutely a case where you needed a Sharon-centric episode to make me buy it. The turn just
didn't land, right?
It didn't land. It was just like
It's just not consistent with kind of where a character has been.
And it's like everyone was predicting like Sharon's the power broker, and it's like, I guess because we need a named character to be the power broker, so people are predicting that. But like, to me, it wasn't because like it was obvious from like what the show was doing. Like, it was in the sense like, oh, she's got a lot of power in this new place, and the power broker is based there. Okay, that makes sense from that sort of standpoint. But for me, just from a character standpoint, it was just like, why? Like, what's the deal? Like, I don't know. To me, that was what did not feel earned at all. I just was just like, okay, I guess. I don't know. But she did she chucked that gas into that truck with that dude and just fucking melted that dude's head. Like, oh, that was some hardcore shit.
That was
so I was
brutal.
just like, all right,
Wow.
she's a changed woman.
She's
We'll say
definitely the
that.
power broker.
I don't know.
Yeah.
This didn't work for me at all.
Right? No, agreed.
That's just it. We didn't need power broker problem. We didn't need flag smasher deal. We didn't need those two deals. Just give me U.S. agent.
You make Walker the antagonist, make the government, an asshole. Like fine, you know what I mean? Like, I think that would have made, again, for a tighter, more succinct storyline, especially if they're going to do 6 episodes.
Bingo.
Exactly.
If they're going to do 8,
that's
I think you can bring in,
especially
some more
for
elements.
6 episodes.
And obviously, at a certain point, you still need, I think, for like Walker's storyline, you need Lamar to get killed. You need some sort of impetus for Walker to fucking lose it. But you can do that any number of ways.
You can do that any number of ways that don't require 2 other villains. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You just don't need it.
So, I don't know. Yeah, I think the Flag Smashers and the Power Broker were the 2 weakest aspects of it, and I think those are the points that hold it back for me, from being that very yes show, as we talked about in recommendations. So I have a couple more things I want to talk about in spoilers. Is there anything else that anyone wants to talk about before I dive into my 2 points I want to talk about?
Yeah. I assume you're going to talk about saying how Sam becomes Captain America.
Yes, I think.
Yeah.
Yes, go ahead if you had something to say.
I've been thinking about the suit, and
that's number one. That's point number one
for me.
The suit.
It's maybe I give it a B-.
Really? Okay, that's more negative than I think I would go.
I like it, but it just either it's too comic booky, or it's just like, I don't know. It like works in some ways.
Very
it works
comic-booky.
in some ways, but not fully. Whereas like I love some of the other Falcon suits. I love a lot of the Bucky Winter Soldier stuff. I love the U.S. agent outfit. And the last suit, like, I like, but I would say not love.
Andrew, what do you think about the Sam Wilson Captain America suit? Did you like it?
The only thing that I thought was kind of off was his goggles.
Okay.
Maybe it was the goggles that just, I don't know.
Overall, I thought it was pretty cool. I think it's cool that he got his wings back from Wakanda. I think that's fucking super fucking cool. And I also like the fact, I liked how they revealed it. Like he gets the box. What's in the box? What's in the box? And they don't reveal what's in the box.
It's in the fucking box.
Exactly. I enjoyed that part of it. I enjoyed the color scheme. I think it's really cool. I like how he utilizes like the shield, like the way that he is able to, the way that they choreographed how Sam is the Falcon and now he is Captain America. I think the way that they fuse those two heroes together into like a thing where he flies and then he like fucking boomerangs his fucking shield through the helicopter and shit. I thought all that stuff was super cool. Yeah, I ate that shit up a lot. The only thing that just kind of like threw me off a little bit when he was like doing the interview with like the congressman or whoever he was doing the interview with, and he's sitting there talking, and his the goggles just kind of sat.
Maybe that was it. Yeah, I don't know.
It's super super critical because like all episode long, I had no issue at all with anything until he was sitting there talking and he just had his costume on. It almost felt like a boys kind of situation where like I'm I'm gonna sit here and talk to you in my costume and I got my goggles on. Hey, what's going on, guys? It just kind of felt kind of funny.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because I think in all of his previous Falcon costumes, the goggles have been a separate piece. This is the first time where the goggles are like connected to the whole headpiece that's connected to the rest of the suit, and so I'm wondering if that's what like the fit was a little bit like kind of wonky because of that or something. But
super critical.
I thought it was.
I had no issues with the suit.
I thought it was great. I really I thought it was awesome. The translation from comics to screen was almost identical to what we got, when Sam was introduced as Cap in the comics. And I thought that was really, really cool. And I think to Andrew's point, I fully agree. The way that he was still fundamentally Falcon with the wings and everything, and the Captain America suit, I just thought was so fucking cool. Like, hashtag that's my Captain America is what I would say about that.
Oh yeah,
like just the fact that he's flying around, he's got the shield on his back. Like that's so fucking cool. That is so.
Oh yeah,
cool.
I'm on board with that.
Yeah, Man. It was awesome. So, my final point for spoilers is a piece of news that I saved for last because it's a little spoilery, and that is that Captain America 4 is in the works. It's officially in the works from Falcon and the Winter Soldier showrunner Malcolm Spellman, who's going to write the script alongside one of the writers on the series. And, it's funny because, no castings are officially known for the project, but this is absolutely a Sam Wilson Captain America film.
It's not a Wyatt Russell Captain America film.
It might be a U.S. agent involved in the film kind of film, and I could see Bucky being part of this as well. It seems like a pretty natural place to continue his storyline. But go ahead.
I was gonna say we didn't talk about the fucking Wakandans taking his arm off.
They got the fail safe. He looked so upset. He's just like, I can't. These motherfuckers didn't trust me.
We give you the arm, we take it back.
Yeah.
Anyways, that was
so. Yeah. So yeah, Captain America 4. It's happening. And what do you guys think? You up for that? Is that where you'd like this storyline to continue, or you game for that sort of thing?
I would love to see a Sam Wilson versus U.S. agent kind of situation.
Yeah, kind of a more proper realization of that.
You have like the U.S. military complex U.S. agent versus like the morality of America versus each other. I think that would be cool.
That's cool.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think this. If you're gonna do a fourth Captain America movie, this is where you go. Because they put in the work. I think if you do this without the show, it may not work. Maybe it does.
It's a little more hollow.
But I'm not sold right away. I think now I'm sold. Like, I'm on board. I want a Sam Wilson Captain America film. So if that's what you're going to give me, I'll take it.
And it feels like such a real successor to Captain America.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? It feels earned.
He's earned it.
Exactly. Feels legitimate. I don't need Chris Evans anymore. I don't need him.
Right. He did his thing.
He did his thing, and now we have the successor.
Yep.
You know, and it feels good.
Yeah. I
Right.
hear you. Okay. Any final thoughts on the Falcon and the Winter Soldier?
That first sequence of the Grand Canyon or whatever with the helicopters and the flying around and stuff, that was pretty cool.
It was pretty cool. I agree with that.
But that's
Enrique,
this
what do you got?
sour
Any
monkey talk.
final thoughts?
No, I
talking.
feel like we hit the main points.
You did.
Really
I think
well
so, yeah.
done. Love the costumes. Zemo's wear, like it's not costumes, but man, fucking Zemo, you can tell he's got money because he's looking good in those.
He's looking
the
good.
Jacket with the fur and everything. I'm really digging it.
Fur collar, yeah.
I'm digging Zemo. You know,
Bring him back, Thunderbolts, make it happen, Marvel.
Kevin,
see him. I know you listen.
Let's see him on the dance floor again.
All right. Well, so what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to introduce a very special edition of the Listener's Corner, if that's acceptable to people. And what I'm going to do is introduce someone live on air to give their 2 cents on the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce one Anna Mattis who would like to make a little cameo appearance, a little Don Cheadle, Julia Louis-Dreyfus type cameo on this, and we'll hear some thoughts from her.
So, Anna, what'd you think about Falcon and the Winter Soldier?
You know, it's funny. I hadn't actually thought about what's my actual overall take. I feel like I have a lot of little things with it.
It's about the way I felt about it.
I think honestly kind of my biggest takeaway is that WandaVision set too high a bar for me anyway, because it just felt so fresh and so different. And so this even though it was kind of the same routine that we love and that we've become accustomed to with Marvel stuff, it just felt like oh yeah, we're just doing this again at first, and then it obviously I think really picked up, and by the end, I did love it. I mean, I thought it was great for kind of the general stuff. Some of the little stuff just didn't do it for me. So I did make a list.
Yeah, what was the things that worked?
Well, I gotta go negative first.
Okay,
I feel like I gotta
get
end
the negative out of the way.
Positive. So one thing I didn't hear most of what you guys recorded, but I heard a few things. So the one thing that I was gonna respond to was the thing about the money and Tony Stark not leaving the money and blah blah blah. And I think the problem with that is that everyone making these movies and writing these movies is rich. And they, number one, never consider the fact that people might just those logistics. And so it felt like somebody in this writer's room was like, hey, what about this logistic piece? They need money. Where do they get their money? But then it's still just kind of stupid, because now I'm like, okay, so you've got someone who's working class, but you clearly don't have anyone who's been broke before. Because I think there's this idea that well, even if Tony said, I'm going to write you a check, oh, they wouldn't accept it. There's always this thing about, I'm not accepting charity, and I'm
fuck you. I take your money, Tony Stark.
Exactly. I'm like as a broke person, if you Venmo'd me $50, I would not send it back to you. I'm like, yes, thank you. I will take your money. You also, Tony Stark, obviously very smart, obviously hardworking, did a lot of great stuff, but he was born rich.
Right.
And he got daddy's money, and he didn't work for that, and he had a great starting point to launch everything else off of.
He just got a small $1 million loan from his dad,
Right, exactly. Tony Stark is not self-made, and that's the reality. So I think that part just frustrated me, because I was like, you would accept the money. You would accept the money. So it just did feel kind of stupid in that. But that being said, I did love the idea of everyone coming together to help on the boat and to make that happen. And then the final moment of them choosing not to, paint over the names. Although then I read an interview with the director where she was like, that bullet's sketchy. I don't think it's going to float. And I was like, what? We just did all this work on it. What is she talking about? But anyway, I think some other things that kind of irritated me. I saw a lot of, I probably spend too much time on my Instagram Explore page because it just absolutely fascinates me because that algorithm is so bad. It is not TikTok at all because that's great. Like the algorithm. I got a lot of posts coming up that were talking about like, oh my God, obviously Anthony Mackie and Sebastian Stan were great, but like, what about these minor characters? They were great too. And I think some of those were earned. I think Zemo was great. I think Daniel Bruhl, is that? Yeah. Mm-hmm. He was awesome. He finds a way to really be an anti-hero. And honestly, he gives me like some Loki vibes in that. That like, at least early Loki vibes, and that like you're not rooting for him. You don't think he's making good choices.
He's not a good guy, but you love
like
him.
Having him around. Whereas I also saw things being like, I loved John Walker by the end. Oh, he's so great. We need to applaud this.
Oh no.
You don't applaud John Walker.
No, yeah. I don't love John Walker because he was a good guy.
But this is the problem. People think that like where they ended up with him was redeeming.
Oh no.
Because of that like one scene with Sebastian Stan with Bucky being like, I don't know, something about the line. They shouldn't have put it in there.
No.
Because you know, a friend of mine was kind of going through it, and he's a big Marvel fan, and he was he's very active on social media, and he was talking about how just if you haven't read Mediocre by Ijoma Oluo, you should if you're interested in this. But it's just that John Walker is just the walking example of like white mediocrity, because he is a white man who like was good at killing people in a war. And they said, great, you represent America and you're awesome. And I feel like the scene with the Dora Milaje, like, just exemplifies like how like he's mediocre. He's nothing special. He ain't shit. And him getting this just is such a prime example of like the things that people get for looking a certain way and having a certain background. And so like, Wyatt Russell, great job. Being someone I really wanted to punch in the fucking face, and I was rooting for him to die, and I'm quite upset that he's not dead. Although I do think I can't wait for him to die. I hope it's like the first scene of Captain America 4. But I think I also think we didn't really see the craziness, but I do think, you know, I think a lot of people were talking about like, okay, the super serum, even within the show, that like, oh, it just brings out who you are. Well, that's what the original one did. But this is some janky off-brand. Mm-hmm. Like, it's not the same. They think it is, but it's not. It's not exactly the same, right? Like, we kind of have to assume that like they figured out a way to do it, but not the same way. Mm-hmm. And so I think at least in my mind, that contributes both to John Walker becoming even worse of who he already was, but in some ways, like for Carly as well, like kind of bringing out the worst in her, whereas the other one kind of brought out the best in Steve. These are kind of bringing out the worst in them, and so I hope we get kind of more of that in like a spiral of U.S. agent. But yeah, fuck him. Zemo was like a much more fun anti-hero, and I don't know why they tried to like do that with John Walker at the end, because fuck him. In terms of other villains, the Sharon Carter shit was so fucking stupid. I just like, I cannot wrap my head around why they would do this. It's fucking disrespectful to Peggy. Disrespectful. It's just rude. Fuck off. There is one Agent Carter, and it is not played by Emily Van Camp. Like, no. It makes me really mad. I think they had so many other ways that they could have brought her back and made her relevant, and even keep her as the power broker. But like, she's working with the Flag Smashers, who like we've kind of learned like, oh, like actually they kind of have. Well, we don't really know what they're. I'll get into that. But, you know, it's kind of this, like, noble cause, even if they're not doing it the right way. And so maybe the power broker is the same thing. Maybe she's like this Robin Hood who's, you know, but she's not. What is she, like, counterfeiting art or dealing art? She's a villain.
Yeah.
And she's selling state secrets. So I think if you had her as someone who is this powerful position, who's like, this system failed me, and I don't want that to happen to other people, and I'm going to gain all this power so that I can do good in the world and help where governments hurt, that would be one thing. I think that would have been really fucking cool. But they just made her like a greedy bitch. So I'm like, I don't, what are we doing? We're just disrespecting Peggy at this point, and I really hate it. So I'm not invested in it now. And I think I was in the beginning, and I think I would have even been in for it if it was like, the power broker reveal is kind of cool that she's a power broker. Like, it's not who you pictured, it's not who you expected. But then it's just like, oh, great, like, just another, like, person who wants money. You know?
I've seen some rumors that, like, she's obvious because now, like, you know, with the Secret Invasion stuff, if anything doesn't make sense, you're like, they're a Skrull. It's just like, it's just not in her character. She's a Skrull. And that'd be weird, but like,
I'll take it for like her in America.
Yeah.
Or for her in America or something. Yeah, I think that frustrated me. I also, in terms of motive, like, do we ever really figure out what this Flag Smashers want? Because kind of seems to me like they just
come back.
Right. They just want Imagine by John Lennon to be reality. Like, I found that very frustrating because I think, again, like, people, I almost think they didn't want to have too much exposition or detail because they thought people wouldn't care, and like, your audience is smarter than you think they are, but not so smart that we can just like read your mind. So it was never really clear to me like what they wanted or what their problem was with the GRO. And in terms of the GRO, what the fuck does Marvel think U.S. senators do? Because that made no sense.
they make Captain America's, and then
right
they have like three of them who like sit on a weird council.
Right. Like they're on this international refugee organization, and they're the United States representative, a senator from one state. They're in charge of deciding who the new Captain America is, and they're head of a committee that's being run out of a building that is clearly not part of Congress. Like, I feel like head of the CIA or head of SWORD or something like that would make way more sense. For that, like the head of an intelligence agency. But it just was like, what do y'all think senators do? And for me, like, those kind of motivations and like lack of details, like at the beginning of Sam's speech at the end, like took away from it a little bit for me. So I'm like, wait, what's going on? But then that speech was great, and Anthony Mackie did a great job. And I did think this really was like we know he's a great actor, and I feel like Marvel movies have not given him that chance to really like show his acting chops, and I think this show really did, and that was really refreshing and really nice. And I think also Carl Lumbly as Isaiah Bradley was so good, and I think sometimes he kind of falls into these casting choices that are kind of just over the top, like. Anybody's watched Supergirl, like, it's just too much. He was great. He was so good. Like, the tribute to this character was just awesome. And I think, you know, I guess I wanted some more ties to like real life, but hopefully people go and research and realize that like this is real. Like, you know, medical experimentation on Black men in the United States without their consent is very real, and like it was very prevalent. And so it was, I think, good to see that kind of reality brought to light and discussed. They didn't shy away from it. This show did not shy away from talking about important issues and talking about the reality of how this country would look at a Black man as Captain America. And I really appreciated that about it. I thought that was great. And I think probably, Marvel hasn't been great about that stuff. Obviously, they're like, oh, our first gay character. And by the way, it's played by a straight white man. Oh, no. No. And there's been questionable choices with women superheroes, and they've been a lot better lately. But I just thought this did a really good job at addressing tough issues. But like overall, I really did enjoy it, and I think for me, this show worked a lot better in the week-to-week format, actually, which I got quite frustrated with WandaVision. I think that's a show better watched like right in a row or in just a few sittings. Whereas this, I thought the pacing of it, like it felt right week to week. It never bothered me. And I thought it was really fun for them to take this odd couple relationship and make something that still had that kind of charm and like the humor and the fun parts of Sam and Bucky's relationship, but also like make a really important statement and set up for things I'm excited about. Like I said, there's definitely things I'm like, oh, I don't need more of this. I don't want it. But overall, I'm really excited to continue to see Sam Wilson as Captain America. And now I can't remember the character's name, but the guy who's clearly being set up to become Falcon.
Oh, Torres?
Torres, yes.
Yeah, he's gonna get fused with the bird DNA and eventually become the new Falcon.
Holy
shit! Do you think he's actually gonna get fused with the bird DNA? I don't think they're gonna
please don't do
that.
that in the real world or the live action, please.
Yeah, but that's Danny Ramirez, right? And he's great. I thought he was really good. I liked his chemistry with Sam, and I thought he was really good. So I would like to see more of him. And I think I thought he was gonna show up more in like the later episodes.
But they set it up. Really they clearly set it up. Like, he's like, keep
Leaving
the wings.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, so it makes me really excited for what's to come next. But I thought that was good. So I enjoyed it quite a bit. I think so far Marvel TV shows on Disney Plus are 2 for 2.
Doing well.
So, yeah. Colton, you got any response to any of the things I said?
Nothing specifically addressed to you. I think there some crossover with a few things that we did that Henrique, Andrew, and I talked about, but a few things that we really didn't touch on too. So I think you brought up some new things, and so all I can really say is, hey, you heard it here first.
Heard it here first.
Well, thank you, Anna, for that, and I will continue with a small addendum to the listener's corner from Bruce Brown, who chimed in on the last couple things that we covered for the podcast. So I figure they're timely to talk about. So in regard to Godzilla versus Kong, he says sucked. Period.
All right.
There's a little bit more to that, but I thought that would be a fine point. As a kid, I used to watch the old Japanese Godzilla and monster movies in black and white, and they were way better than this crap. Monster fighting scenes were fine. Millie Brown's storyline, stupid. Pour soda on the keyboard to put fake Godzilla out of commission, stupid. Entire storyline was stupid. Movie sucked.
Fair enough.
Amazing.
He's not wrong in a way, you know what I mean?
No.
So, fair enough. And then in regards to Mortal Kombat, bad acting, good fights, pretty gruesome. Played the games a few times, mostly got ass kicked, so some of the characters were familiar. Started out strong, slept through the middle of it, ridiculous fights at the end, but the fights were mostly entertaining. Not really sure what the point was, but I guess the good guys won, so all good.
All right, fair enough.
And again, really not wrong. And then there's a third one for a movie called, I believe, Vigilante, which I think has Olivia Wilde in it. I don't know anything about it, but he says, horrible, boring, a few good Vigilante scenes. How did this get 90% on Rotten Tomatoes? I don't get it. Then again, I didn't get Nomadland.
I was just gonna say maybe it's a No Man Land situation.
Always entertaining to hear from Mr. Bruce Brown. So yeah, that's the listener's corner. So I hope you all enjoyed both segments of that. And now I kick it over to you guys. Catching up on some stuff we've been up to. You guys want to shout out anything in particular? Henrique, Andrew, whoever wants to speak. I'm all ears.
Do you want to go first, Andrew?
I can go first. I finished Invincible.
Oh,
okay.
I'm not finished yet, but all right. Thoughts?
Invincible season finale made me tear up a little bit.
Oh,
which it's no surprise I tear up with all sorts of things. But this made me tear up. I did enjoy this season. I thought it was really cool. I'm really intrigued to see. Apparently, season 2 and 3 have been announced.
yes.
So I will.
Yes.
I'll be on board with that. I called one aspect of it at the beginning of the season. Like I just thought that it would be the case. It turned out to be that it is certainly the case. Talking ambiguously for people that may be watching the show, but did not hinder my experience of it whatsoever. I thought it was very good. And the season finale was well done. Did I talk about this before, Colton? I started Twilight Zone.
No, the CBS, like the new one, the Jordan Peele one, or are you going old school?
So I think I've seen all the old ones.
Okay, no, this is news to me. I don't think anyone's heard this yet.
I found out that I had Paramount Plus or whatever the fuck it was.
Yes, I just called it CBS All Access. Paramount Plus, yes,
and,
of course.
So Paramount Plus has it was really cool. I thought that the only thing that they had on there, because I watched 2 episodes of it in black and white, they have like a black and white version of the series, which was pretty cool. And it actually, the episodes that I watched, I think I watched the one with the guy from that show you like, Adam.
Adam Scott. Yeah. He's on the plane or whatever in that one.
Coolest fucking thing. Let me get excited for half a second. Coolest thing. I listened to this podcast called Hardcore History.
Yeah.
With
Dan Carlin.
Dan Carlin. Bingo. Dan Carlin is a podcast narrator on that episode. And I was like, I was watching the episode,
okay.
and your boy Adam's listening to this podcast on this episode. I'm like, I know the fucking podcaster. I know that voice. What's that fucking name? I look it up, and it's Dan Carlin. I'm like, who the fuck is Dan Carlin? And then it dawned on me. It was the Hardcore History guy, and he did the podcast for that episode, and it was fucking spectacular. It was awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, so they have the version of the show in black and white, and then I watched an episode today, and it was and they have another version of the series that's in color, but the show lends itself very well to black and white.
I had no idea they did a black and white version of the new stuff. I mean, it's cool. Obviously, it's fitting with how the show originally was. But yeah, I had no idea.
Yeah, Jordan Peele is awesome as the narrator. Really enjoying it. I think it's really cool. I also watched a show called With No Remorse. I watched that today.
Without Remorse, little movie, Michael B. Jordan movie,
the Amazon Prime thing with
the new one, the
Michael
Tom
B.
Clancy
Jordan
thing.
Michael Jordan B. Michael B. Jordan. That's it. And that was pretty cool. I enjoyed that show. It was all right. I mean, it was mostly just okay, I think. Nothing quite spectacular. Watched a show last night called I think it's called Stepmother, with Susan Sarandon and Julia Roberts and that guy from Westworld, Ed Harris. Watched that. That one made me tear up. Like the concept of the show was or the concept of the movie was sentimental. I don't think it was executed quite as good as it could have been, but it was just okay. Made me cry, but that doesn't say a lot. And American Idol, The Voice,
the classics.
the classics. I think really the high point is Twilight Zone, especially if I didn't talk about it before.
That's cool.
Yeah, I didn't know you'd been watching. So how far into that first season are you? Just a few episodes?
So I think there's 3 seasons out now.
It's at least 2, maybe 3. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm I don't know, 4 or 5 episodes in.
Okay.
I just kind of watch it. Sarah's not interested in it, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
whenever
when
you got some time. Yeah.
Exactly, like half hour, 45-minute episodes. I'm in the middle of an episode right now. I didn't get to finish it, but I'll return to it, and I really enjoy like the I don't know, like the concepts of the Twilight Zone episodes and stuff. And I think I don't know. I enjoy. I've watched all the Twilight Zones, like all the old school ones.
Nice.
And I just think they're really cool. I don't know. I just really enjoy them. So I think Jordan Peele brings a unique perspective to them because a lot of them are socially charged. You know, they're like socially infused with like modern things. More so than I think the classic episodes are. So it's a unique perspective on Twilight Zone topics, being socially infused or racially infused or whatever. And I think I don't know. I think it lends a cool perspective towards what Twilight Zone kind of like represents and stuff. So I think it's really cool. He's a really talented dude. So happy to be watching that shit. I'm also gonna watch Saint Maud sometime soon because you can stream that shit now.
Yeah, check back in on streaming. Is it on a streaming service or is it just VOD or something?
Yeah,
Do you know?
So I think Saint Maud is on. It's on some fucking thing.
Okay,
I don't know.
Fair enough. Yeah, we got Google too. We can figure it out. We'll be fine. So.
Bingo. Yeah, but it's streamable. So I'm gonna stream that shit sometime.
Cool. All right. Well, look forward to hearing your thoughts about that. Enrique, is there anything going on in your life that you want to talk? I mean, just anything happening in your life that you want to talk about? Anything going on?
A little bit, yeah. So we've obviously talked about this off the air, but we just got, she's leaving now, but we just got back.
You got a cat with you, so it's fine.
We just got back from a very nice trip to Hawaii. First time for me going there. And obviously, beautiful place, but most importantly, Easley and I got engaged.
Woo! Yeah! Congratulations! It's awesome.
Thank you.
It's awesome.
Yeah. So
seems to be a pattern going on in this podcast.
I heard Andrew's story. So ours wasn't as crazy, but so we obviously go. This is like the first vacation we actually do together. That's like a true vacation. Everything else has been to like see family, her brother's wedding, things like that, like small little things. It's like a real
doing
real
it for
deal,
yourselves. Yeah,
real deal vacation just for the two of us. So it's like obviously perfect opportunity. And it's a long ass flight. We took 5.5 hours to LA, 5.5 hours from LA to Honolulu, 6-hour time difference. Which on the way there is kind of nice because you get there and it's like still the day, so you still got stuff to do. But first day, not too much. Kind of hung around. We had an Airbnb over like kind of near the North Shore, so we were in Oahu specifically. That's where Honolulu is, probably the most popular island. But we stayed kind of in the less popular part. Just because it's less touristy things, but super nice because we got an Airbnb where it's literally the outside deck just face the Pacific Ocean. So every day we get up and just see the sunrise on the vastness of the Pacific. And it's just gorgeous, which is really nice because otherwise we would have been at some resort facing the golf course kind of thing. So I'll take that. People below us were a little out at times, but they sounded like they were having fun, so can't really fault them for that. But second day, because I got this tip from a friend and coworker, she's like, do it early because then you can you're just not thinking about it the whole time. You just get it done and then you can celebrate the rest of the trip. So first full day, we do a hike up this lighthouse trail. I always butcher the name, so I'm gonna look it up to make sure I don't insult all the Hawaiian people. But I want to say, yeah, it's the Makapu'u Point Lighthouse Trail, and it's one of the it's one of the easier trails. Like maybe a mile and a half there, a mile and a half back on a steady paved road incline. And my plan was to go up to the top, kind of scope out some views, and then on the way back, like, you know, find the way. But then we're going up like 2/3 of the way there, and there's just a nice little like alcove off the trail, but like clearly still like not roped off or anything, just like kind of on the side. And I'm like, let's go take some pictures there. I'm looking around. It's like super quiet. No one else is really going by. And I'm like, no, it's just like, we got the timing, you know, the sun's shining. This is the place. So, I didn't hire like any photographers or anything, and we're just the two of us. So I had set up this tripod that I had. And we're like pretending to take pictures and take picture here, take picture there. And she's like, why are you taking so many pictures? Just like, you know, whatever. Like, just to get a nice view. I took some pictures, then I put it on record and went and popped the question. And then caught her by surprise. Then afterwards, I'm like, yeah, this is all on tape, by the way. He's like, oh, what? I got video evidence. And then the rest of the time we just had a great time doing other things. Went on a couple other hikes. Just a gorgeous place because you got mountains and the beach.
You saw Jurassic Park, dude.
Yeah, we went to we had booked this beforehand, but there's a gorgeous ranch where you can do tours, and they filmed a ton of movies there. So we actually, before we went, we were watching a couple movies that were filmed in Hawaii. So we watched Jurassic Park. We watched Forgetting Sarah Marshall because that was up in the North Shore over at the Turtle Bay Resort.
Great film.
Good stuff. We watched Snakes on a Plane.
I had it with these motherfucking snakes on this motherfucking plane.
Exactly.
I wouldn't have finished the quote if I wasn't drunk enough for it.
It was all right.
Whatever, man.
What else? I think that was it. There were a ton of other things. So we obviously had watched Lilo and Stitch because that was super Hawaiian Disney movie. We watched Moana, which is not inherently Hawaiian but very Polynesian. And
it's inspired.
I will say, because we learned a lot about some of the Polynesian culture and Maui, the legend of Maui. It's not that far off for a Disney thing. The thing though, Maui's hook comes from his grandmother's jawbone. So that's a big shift.
Okay.
His grandmother from the underworld.
So Disney excised that little bit.
Yeah, they're like, you know, it's a magical.
That's probably
it's a magical.
appreciated.
It's
Yeah,
a little too macabre for what
Right.
we usually go for.
But he did have
family-friendly affair.
But he was a demigod. He was one of 5 actually, the Maui 5, not like the Jackson 5.
Many god.
Yeah, but a demigod. He had the big hook that had just some shape shifting abilities, and he was able, just like the song, like, you know. Hook the sun. Hook the sun. You know, plant some eels and grow coconuts and go to travel to the underworld. You know, just like he did.
I was a sad little crab once.
And Moana, amazing movie, amazing songs. Oh,
I'd rather be shiny. Sorry, we're totally derailing this whole thing, but fuck, I just want to watch Moana now.
It's a good one. Go watch it again. It's pretty spot on. Yeah, I think those are some of the ones that we saw, but other things that were notable, obviously, like Waikiki, that's the big popular beach area. We saw a ton of amazing wildlife. We went snorkeling, saw a ton of fish. We did some boats. We saw some turtles, dolphins, eels, sea lion, I think it was a seal? No, Hawaiian monk seal. It was a seal. We're telling Andrew, we just accidentally drove by the Airbnb, and then Easton's like, wait, stop the car. I'm like, wait, what happened? It's like, there's a seal back there. So we drive back, and there's just a seal who's like one of 1,400 or something in the world, like super endangered. They just like come up to shore, sleep. Someone protects them the whole time. So just a beautiful place, amazing culture, history. We got amazing food, and now I understand why my friend gets insulted when he orders poke from Whole Foods, because that's just not the same. It's not the same.
Yeah. You go and get the real deal, and then you're spoiled.
Oh yeah.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah, just amazing stuff. So,
did that seal have a giant red thing coming out of its nose?
What?
Did that hooded seal have like a giant red thing coming out of its nose?
No.
Like it didn't have a giant red nose?
No. I feel like you're thinking of another animal, but I don't know which one.
Like I just look up a hooded seal. And it's
oh
like,
no, it's look up a Hawaiian monk seal.
Oh, I look up a hooded seal.
What's a hooded seal?
Problem.
Fuck is a hooded seal?
Yeah, I'll show you.
No, it's got the.
Look at this fucking thing.
Oh,
this is what I pulled up. It's like, what the fuck is going on there?
Classic Andrew dropping an image in the Discord. All right,
that is like a weird red thing. No, it was much cuter than that. I don't know what the hell that seal's doing. Jesus.
World's weirdest fucking hooded seal.
Yeah.
Oh my.
So
it's a
it's
monk
pooping
seal.
out Noah Fisheries as well. What's up with that?
Yeah.
I don't know what the fuck's
we
going on with that animal.
We got
just a giant little fat little thing.
Yeah. It's just a big old fat seal.
Oh, they're endangered?
Yeah, they're very endangered.
Oh.
But definitely recommend, obviously, Hawaii when you can, being safe, vaccines, and all that. But yeah,
Protect
amazing.
The fuck out of that animal. That's a fucking adorable little fucking animal.
It's pretty cute. But yeah, we still got a lot of planning to do, figure out what we want to do. So we'll be in touch, but potentially a small little thing in Philly. Yeah, and then let's see other kind of non-related big life things that I've been up to that I can recommend. I rewatched Space Jam kind of in preparation for the new Space Jam movie. That's pretty good stuff, so I'm excited for that. You said it. Yeah, that was a pretty cute one.
We're a seal podcast now. It's official.
What do we do? On the plane, I watched King of Staten Island. It was pretty good. I gotta say, mostly positive.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I watched the Man from U.N.C.L.E, and then the whole time I was like, who is this European off-brand Army Hammer? And then it's like the credits roll. And I'm like, oh no, this is Army Hammer. This is the cannibal Army Hammer.
One and only cannibal, alleged rapist, probably rapist. One and only Army Hammer. And
then it makes all the scenes hit a little bit differently. Everything just hits a little bit differently in the end.
Yeah, it's so funny. I mean, look, I'm not putting you on the spot, but I think I said something about. I feel like on the Mortal Kombat episode, I said the almost exact thing. We were talking about Guy Ritchie stuff. We were talking about Guy Ritchie's new movie, and I was just like, "Hey, man, last thing I watched was Man from U.N.C.L.E, and I was like, I watched it before all the Army Hammer stuff came to light, so it was kind of nice. So this is the other side of that coin of someone.
I didn't realize it was Army. It kind of looked like him. And I was like,
you were blissfully ignorant for most of it, so that's at least a good experience, I guess.
But
it's a good movie though. It's a good movie. When's the sequel coming out? I mean, minus Army Hammer. They got to recast him at this point, but
yeah, you got to bring just the other characters. I've been watching some more Food Wars. Shit's good, man. Like it's still ridiculous. It doesn't get any different, but it's a well written anime.
Lots of naked people and food still.
Oh yeah, for sure. But you just have like this really good
what's
arcs.
That called?
Like,
that's called what's that called?
The
naked animes.
Is that it?
Oh, hentai?
Oh, it's not. It's not
bad. It's not that.
But it kind of walks toes the line a little bit.
Totes the line of walk.
I'm sure there's some crossover for some people that enjoy that, and Food Wars maybe a little bit, but hey, whatever, man, whatever floats your boat or something.
Yeah, no, it's actually a very, very good anime, but very weird. So don't expect anything different. But we're just about. I think we finished season 3, and they just have good like arcs, like tournament arcs, where like it's like fighting but with cooking.
I wonder if Sarah would be into that.
Probably not. I'll go ahead and say it right here. Most likely not. But honestly, you might be. It's just like the other part of it is pretty good.
I get called out pretty hard.
Yeah. Yeah. I haven't played too much more Persona since we left, but I had hit like 100-hour mark or something.
So you haven't finished it yet.
No.
So you still got
a
little bit left, a little bit more to go through. Okay.
Two palaces left, but it's a good game, man. It's a good game.
I've got. I think I literally have both the regular version and Royal on my shelf.
Yeah, just go for Royal.
Obviously, I would just play Royal.
Yeah, just go for Royal. It's good. I did start I know a game you're fond of, Fire Emblem 3 Houses. I started that on the way there.
Oh, sick. Yeah. All right. Here's my test of character.
I joined I forget the name, but I joined the
Just give me a color. Red, blue, or gold. Or yellow, I guess.
The blue.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right. I did the Crimson Eagle. I did the red, whatever they are, the first one, and then I did the Blue Lions for my second playthrough. So
yeah. No, I'm like the Regal Lions.
Dimitri. Good stuff. You liking it so far? How far into it?
Yeah, no, it's pretty good. I don't know, a few hours, not too much.
Okay, not too far. Yeah. It's you got you got a lot ahead of you, I guess is what I'll say. So yeah.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, but it's pretty good so far. Got a ton of other games that I'll eventually get to, but obviously watched Invincible, but need to catch up on that. But yeah, go to Hawaii. Andrew, if you're planning any honeymoon destinations, that's a good one.
Might be the place. That might be the place we go. I don't know.
Might be the place. All right. Well, very cool. Congratulations on the engagement once again.
Thank you.
It's very exciting. We're very happy for you. Speaking for Anna as well. She's off mic right now, but she's in the background. It's awesome. Obviously, for Andrew, we're still very excited about you and Sarah as well. So it's nice to see some love in the air. So anyway, I'll just talk about some things that I've been up to, and so I haven't, love, lesbians, those are words that are often confused for one another. In a little film called Scott Pilgrim versus the World, which did you like that transition? It was a little rough.
Segue,
it was a little rough,
good.
but. Scott Pilgrim versus the World is, it's a film that is, to my surprise, over a decade old at this point. But they put it out in Dolby Cinema.
How was that?
And fucking hell, it was awesome. I probably haven't seen it in a few years. I would say generously, like I've seen it a few times in my life, but it has probably been at least 2 to 3 years since I saw it. So it was refreshing to just watch it after not having seen it for a decent amount of time. But the Dolby experience is just really elevated. Obviously, there's a factor of, okay, I haven't seen anything technically in Dolby in over a year. And so that helped a lot. But yeah, the music, the Sex Bomb music was just fucking really, it was awesome. And
so good.
Dolby makes your chairs rattle a lot. And I felt like this film did a really, really good job of like integrating that where like it was appropriate for that to happen. And, so the soundtrack was just really cool. The action sequences just totally hold up. Just very creative and stylishly shot. And it's got some things that haven't aged as well as it happens. Films made over a decade ago don't age as well. But overall, it's still incredibly funny, incredibly enjoyable, and just very witty and stylish, and just a wholly enjoyable film.
I watched Tropic Thunder the other day.
Okay, all right.
Speaking of shit that doesn't age well, how in the fuck was that movie
I'm the dude.
made?
The dude playing the dude.
Tropic Thunder is an interesting case study in a sort of way.
It is.
Because I think even when it was made, it was kind of pushing the envelope in a way. And I'll say not necessarily a bad way. Like, the whole point of it was highlighting.
It was all satire.
Yes, I think,
It was satirical blackface.
Right.
In the.
I mean, yes, I think there's a legitimate argument to be made that you still probably, that probably wouldn't get made today, right? Just because people wouldn't want to even try it, for understandable reasons. But I think because it's in that kind of weird little corner, that weird little space where it is literally satirizing kind of the thing that, like the commentary that it's trying to make. It's kind of, it operates in that weird sort of gray space, but yeah, I don't know.
I have to say, I love it.
It's still a funny film, I think, overall. Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
absolutely
it's funny.
Love it. Yeah, it's so fucking funny. God, fucking Tropic Thunder. I can't. Like, I was watching, I was actively thinking, like, oh man, this is like he was talking about, like, going full retard. Never go full retard.
Yes, that particular aspect.
Yeah, no.
Like, oh man, I don't think this would be made today. This is pretty fucking. It's pretty fucking rough. But it was funny. I laughed a lot. So I don't know how I feel about that in my heart of hearts, but yeah, still thought it was funny.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough. I mean, like, Tropic Thunder. I mean, truly just. I don't know if it. I mean,
bonus episode
it's
right
ridiculous, but like, it just, I don't know. Tropic Thunder is just kind of like it just existed, and like
there.
It just must have been like the perfect storm for something like Tropic Thunder to kind of come together, and I know that it stirred up controversy at the time, and again, probably not to the extent that it would have if that film was made like today. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I do think Tropic Thunder is. I think it holds up because of what it's intended to be. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, it has a lot of problematic aspects, but a lot of it is trying to address the problematic aspects head on. And sometimes that, like, it's not a cop out. To just say that, like, oh, because it's doing the thing, it's okay to do the thing. But it is sort of that in the same way. I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain. But
look at Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise
with his fucking big
that.
hands. Yeah, he's got those fucking massive mitts.
Yeah,
he's dancing the whole time. I will fuck you up.
Take a step back and literally fuck yourself in the face. I don't know what he says. I've done that on the podcast before, and I got it wrong before, so we'll see if I got it right this time. But
so
I will fuck you up.
You will need a United Nations to fucking... That's great.
Anyway, Scott Pilgrim is great. I recommend it. It's a very, very enjoyable film. It's just so creative and awesome, and the cast is just ridiculous these days. I mean, obviously Michael Cera is probably like the, I don't know, like, it feels like everyone besides Michael Cera has gone on to have like amazing careers. You got, the likes of Chris Evans, Brie Larson, Kieran Culkin, Aubrey Plaza, Anna Kendrick. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, just top to bottom, it's good. It's good stuff. So
yeah, release the whole Brie Larson version.
I think there's a full
Is there a black sheep?
I think there's a recorded version. I don't think there's a full video of it, but I think there's a recorded version of her doing the.
She nails it so hard, though.
Good.
She's good, and I tell you what, I love the Metric version too, and I think Metric's great. But Brie does a really good job with that song. Yeah, it was awesome. So, anyway, other thing I've been up to is playing Batman: Arkham Asylum, which is it's an old game at this point.
Good pick.
But it's good. So I kind of live in two places at once, in a weird sort of way. I have my apartment, and Anna has her apartment, and we go back and forth. We bounce back and forth. My PS5 is at my place, but I ended up putting the PS4 Pro at her place because I was able to replace her Blu-ray player, give it up to, bring it up to New York with her parents there. So it's a weird situation where like, I want to play every game that I have on the PS4 or PS5, obviously at my place, because it's just going to run better. But Batman's an interesting situation where whether you play it on the PS4 Pro or the PS5, it runs exactly the same. And so I just designated it as my game to play at her place. And so yeah, I've been putting some hours into it, whenever I've been over there, which, I'm over there a good chunk of time. And so, I think you guys have both played it, probably beaten it. I've never beaten it. I played it 3 separate times, but never beaten it any of the times.
I beat all the Batman
I beat Asylum. I didn't beat City.
Okay. Yeah, so, I've gone through the Scarecrow thing. I've beaten Bane the first time. I just got to there's Bruce has a Batcave hidden on Arkham, so I just got to that point, which is probably like a quarter through the game, something like that. Like I've probably put 5 or 6 hours into it, I would guess.
That's good.
That's pretty great.
That's good.
Anyway, every time I've played it, I'm like, this is a fucking awesome game.
Yeah.
And it was like the template for a lot of there's been a lot of Arkham-inspired combat. Like the Spider-Man games are very, very Arkham-inspired in terms of the combat. I love the Spider-Man games. But for some reason, I just never beat that first game. And so I bought the whole trilogy. It was like $20 to get all 3 of them for the PlayStation. So my hope is that I'll eventually work the way through all of them. So.
And which one is Arkham Knight the one on PS Plus? Or one of something?
Yes, yeah. For the PS5, you can get it for free. Yeah. I think I got it with the 3 I bought the 3-pack because it included all the DLC for it. So I just wanted to have like the complete package for it, and I didn't have the other 2 on PlayStation. I had them on Steam, but I don't play games on my PC a lot, and that's also at my place, so it wouldn't have helped me in that regard. So. Anyway, Arkham Asylum, it's an old game. It's a decade plus old at this point too. So I've just been up to old shit at this point. But yeah, it's really awesome. Recommend it for anyone that hasn't happened to have played it. It doesn't feel dated in playing it, is what I would say. I think it holds up. And I'm playing like a pseudo remastered version that they put out for the PS4, but I think it's really just texture upgrades and button mapping. It's really not anything super significant with it, and resolution upgrades and stuff. So yeah, it's good stuff. So
yeah, I want to go back and play Arkham City because I was playing it on my PC and like my laptop was like not doing well on it, so I just never finished it. But yeah, I might after all the other games I want to play. Hopefully go back to that one.
I'm sure there are many. As there are for
I have
all
some.
of us.
Like there's a lot of Switch ones in mind, but I'm thinking maybe Final Fantasy VII remake, remaster, whatever it's called.
Yeah,
that might be the next one. Sticking with some JRPG stuff.
Yeah. It's on my shelf. I'll get around to it. Although they announced the PS5 upgraded version of it, so I'm just like, I'll just wait for that, I guess, at this point. So. Anyway, that's it for me. Why don't we go ahead and call it an episode there? So thank you all for listening. If you enjoyed what you heard, please spread the word. Want to support us on Patreon at patreon.com/watchreviewrepeat. You can get early access to all of our regular episodes, as well as timed exclusive to any bonus episodes that we produce. Maybe we'll do, some Studio Ghibli stuff as we've long promised. Maybe we'll do some Fast and the Furious as we've not really promised, but alluded to, I guess, maybe. But yeah, we'll do something. Our website is watchreviewrepeat.com. You can follow us on our social media accounts. Just on Twitter, we are at WRRPod if you want to follow us there. And you can like our page just by searching for Watch Review Repeat on Facebook. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, you want to be part of the passive side of the listener's corner, you can send those our way to watchreviewrepeat@gmail.com. Intro and outro track is Mechanolith by Kevin MacLeod, licensed under the Creative Commons by Attribution 3.0 license. I want to say a very big thank you, obviously, to Henrique for hanging out with us for a while, talking some Falcon, talking some Winter Soldier, talking anything else that was swept up in the show. It's awesome having you on for all these Marvel projects. And, for a third time, congratulations on the engagement. It's awesome.
No, thank you. It's always
Congratulations, man.
Always happy to join you guys. It's an honor.
Well, we don't know what we're going to be covering next. Andrew watched Without Remorse. I don't know if it's worth covering. I haven't seen it.
No.
Mitchell's versus the Machines is out. Andrew and I thought that looked good, so that's a potential. Invincible is another option, but I haven't watched any of it, so it might be an uphill battle for me to binge it all in a reasonable span of time. So to be determined is what we'll say. That's the official line, so we'll be back with something before long, and we will catch you there. So until then, Andrew, why don't you take us out?
Fuck.
It sounded like you were going to say it, and then you didn't go there.
Take care now. Bye-bye then.
You got it. Laters on the Benche.